Sunday, April 29th. We've had the bees exactly 1 month now. So we're going to go in and do another inspection, have our smoker ready. We have some extra fuel just in case we need that. Make sure the bees are okay. There should have been a lot of new bees being born since we had a look last time. So let's go and take a look. The north hive this time. So let's lift the top cover and maybe give it a little bit of smoke before we take it completely away. And there we go. Okay. Well, that really stirred them up. I could hear a lot of activity in there when I introduced the smoke. Let's give them just a moment. Okay, let's take that away and see what things look like here underneath of the north hive. So the food that we had left the last time, still pretty significantly there. So we'll see what we're going to do this time in terms of food placement. But what we want to do is get in to the frames and have a look and see how things are doing. So let me put this one. Go in and have a look and see how the north hive is doing. As before, we'll make a little bit of room by taking an outermost frame out of the way, and as previously, completely empty on that one. So we'll set that aside. The next one in looks also empty. Don't see any real development here on either side. So set that one aside. Here we have some of the fondant that we had left the last time. The bees are busily eating that. Let's separate this frame away so I can see a lot of activity on the inside. The outside of the frame completely unworked, no comb there yet. But on the inside, good amount of activity. So good amount of comb building, and you see quite a bit of nectar in those frames, and even some of that being capped honey. So we're going to leave that right there, and we will clean that away, but we'll leave that for the moment. So now we're getting into the center where the brood is, and I can see on this next frame quite a bit of comb development on the side facing me, and undoubtedly on the opposite side much more so. I can kind of see that already. Let's make a bit of separation. Whoop, there are a lot of bees in the way there. There we go. Okay, up and out. So on the outside of the frame, again, some good comb development. We see a little bit of pollen being deposited. We see quite a bit of nectar. And then up here in the upper left corner by my thumb, we see some capped honey. So looking really good in terms of food supply. On the other side, oh boy, look at this. Lots of honey in the upper corners. Get a good shot on that whole frame. In the lower part, we see a lot of pollen. And then up in the middle, exactly where it should be, middle top, we see a lot of brood development. So we see a lot of capped larvae in there, all those yellow cap bits. So that's all worker bees that are being produced. So this is looking really good, and as we can see, a lot of pollen. So the bees have been really busy, and we see them coming in and out of the hive carrying pollen on their legs and their pollen pockets. Okay, now I just want to have a look and see if we see our queen, and we don't. So let's put that back into the hive and go another step inward. Okay, so again, make a bit of separation. All this sweetness acts like a glue. Everything is quite stuck together. Let's give a bit of separation. There we go. Oh my gosh, lots and lots of activity as we saw last time on this frame. So let me get a good hold on it. More bees on this one. And up and out. So let's start with the outside. And here we see our supersedure cell. So have a look inside. It looks empty in there. Don't see anything happening inside that supersedure cell. We see some drone cells down at the bottom of this frame. So the capped yellow cells, those are drone cells. And the other yellow capped cells, without the big domes on them, those are worker bees. So a very nice combination here. Up in the upper right-hand corners, we have honey deposit. We see a lot of brood development, egg laying and capped larvae and uncapped larvae, etc. And then a bit of burr comb down at the bottom that doesn't bother us at all. Now let's see if our queen is on this side. I don't see her. So let's have a look here over on the other side. So somewhat comparable. I don't see really drone cells, maybe one or two that could be. Mostly worker bees. Some of the cells that have a bit of dome on top, probable drone cells. There's another one over there. And then, there we go. And then the others, all of these capped larvae, would be worker bees. And in the corners, the top corners, we have capped honey. We have a lot of deposit of nectar down in the bottom, and a little bit of pollen here and there. And I don't see our queen bee on this one either. So we'll go another frame in here. This is our other very active brood frame. So let's have a look. Haven't seen our queen yet, so it's probable she's on this one or the next one. So we'll look at the side facing me first. A lot of good activity. You can see there a lot of brood, a lot of capped cells, a lot of cells with larvae and eggs. So that's looking really good. I'm trying to see the queen. I don't. Some honey stores up in the corners. Get a good shot of the whole frame. Okay. Let's have a look here on the other side. Turn that over. And again, a lot of development, a lot of capped brood. We see some open holes, so those are probably where bees have hatched out already, new bees, which will then get, oh, you can see they have larvae and eggs inside them. And I'm looking for our queen. I don't want to keep this up too long. Well, there's a, if you see there, there's a domed cell just in here, which is probably a drone cell right there. Okay, so I don't see our queen either on this one. I may have missed her, but let's put that one back inside very carefully. There we go. 1 and 2, and let's move another frame over. And I can see already on this next frame there's also a fair amount of activity, which is very good. They're starting to, what we want them to do is to expand across from this centermost area to start to build the brood, the honeycomb, the comb and the brood sort of farther and farther away to fill the box. We won't put another box on top until this box, the frames in this box, are some 75% full of comb and activity. So let's have a look here. I'm just going to pop that one up a bit and try to not to hurt any bees while I'm doing that. And there are lots of them, so challenging to find a place to put my fingers, in fact. Let's see, let's try this. There we go. Be careful that our queen might be on one of these. Oh, there's a lot of good activity, a lot of pollen on this one. You can see all that yellow pollen in the in the comb, some honey up in the top, so good food stores. I'm looking for the queen, and I still don't see her. She's being somewhat elusive, or I'm just not being very good at finding her. And this side, very light comb development, very small amount. You can see the bees are quite busy there. Do you get a shot of the full frame on this one? There we go. So that completes the inspection of the North Hive. We've seen lots of good activity. We didn't see the queen, although we tried very hard, but we didn't find her, so I assume she's okay. There's a lot of sign of activity, eggs, open larvae, capped larvae, so I think we're in really good shape. We're just going to leave a little bit of fondant on top. This is really hard stuff to work with, actually, because it's sticky. Let's take a little bit. Spread that around somewhat. Some over there. Some over there. And we still got a fair amount up here on top. So position that so it'll land about here. Be able to take that off and move it. So we're also going to take the opportunity with this hive to clean the bottom board. So there's a screened bottom to the box or the stand that it's on, which has a sliding board that will catch things that fall through the screen and out into this tray. And what you can see there is some of what they, there's a bit of pollen, some of those yellow, bright yellow little circles. And then what we see is a lot of scrapings from the tops of the comb. So when the bees, for example, would be coming out of the comb or as they're doing comb building. So that's not necessary, and a bit of a magnet for ants. It's fairly sweet stuff. So we're gonna just get rid of that and put that into the waste. Okay, well there it is, looking much cleaner than it had. We'll just slide that right back in underneath. And now let's go and check out the other hive. Now to check the south hive. So I've taken the roof off, and you can see a few bees there on the inside. So we'll just set them over here. Get left food up top in this case. So a bunch of bees, let's give them just a little bit of smoke. And then before we take the top off, maybe just a few puffs there underneath. Let that settle for just a minute. And then we can take that top away. Leave that right there. So I'm going to work from this side. Looks like the smoke has been effective. They've moved down below. So I'm going to come around over here, put on my frame holder, and let's go in and have a look and see what this frame is looking like. Again, not much activity here in the outermost frame. It looks, in fact, completely devoid of activity. A few bees being more curious than anything else. So we'll make our way in. Still very light comb development on this frame. Nothing different than what we saw a week ago. And nothing on this frame. So really no additional comb development out this end during the last week. Now it was in here that we will start to see activity. So let's open this up. And here we can see on the outside, still no activity. It's got something, piece of pollen stuck on his or her bottom, it looks like. Curious. And then some good comb development out here, which I think we had seen pretty much last time as well, filling that with nectar and then eventually capping that as honey. So we'll set that one down inside the box, and let's continue to make our way in. So what have we here? So on the outside, good comb development. We see a lot of activity. We see a lot of nectar in the cells. We see a bit of capped honey up at the top. Do we have a full frame shot on that one? Okay, don't see our queen. So let's take a look on the other side. So some great brood development. A lot of honey up in the top corners, as it should be. We're starting to see that crescent of capped larvae, and then down below we see a lot of pollen. So that looks very good. I can see some uncapped, lots of uncapped larvae. In fact, if you look by my thumb up here, quite a bit of uncapped larvae. Okay, let's look for our queen. So let me have a look. Try to see that with a bit of light. And I don't see her. So making our way a bit closer to the center of the brood, we know from last week that there was a lot of activity on this frame. Evidently still true. You get a good shot of that. We see a fair amount of burr comb development down on the bottom of the frame. Do you have a shot of the whole frame? So a lot of worker bee brood. We see some good honey up in the top corners. I'm trying to see the queen, and I don't see her, so let's have a look on the other side. Oh, here you can see there was a lot of brood here last week and a lot of open cells now, so evidently a lot of bees have hatched out. We see a lot of new development. We see eggs, and we see larvae, and we see a lot of capped larvae, all worker bees by the look of it. I don't see the queen. Do you have a good shot on this one? So here's our other brood frame. Let's have a look. And still looks really great. A lot of activity, a lot of larvae, a lot of capped larvae. Looks like some cells where bees have hatched out. Trying to see our queen. I'm not being very successful. I don't see her. Okay, so let's have a look at this newer frame. Good development. Comb, honey, pollen would be a really wonderful place to find our queen, I would think. But I don't see her. Not being very successful with that today. How about here on the other side? No, pretty unlikely. There's not much happening. Very light comb development on this side, so it doesn't seem to be. Okay, the inspection has pretty much come to an end. I'm just going to get the frames back in, so let's fit these back together. Put these newer frames in. I'm going to put in the one that has a little bit more comb development. Get closer in this time, in case they want to work on that. We are very nearly finished. Oops. The bees are slightly agitated. A lot of bees in the air. So I don't want to continue too much longer. They don't seem completely happy with us at the moment. Okay, there's lots of fondant there still on top. So we're going to put this frame back on the same way, just directly. Just re-stretch that. I think we're fine. Maybe we'll just put a little bit of fondant on top as we have it here, and they will probably appreciate it. although there's increasingly good food available in the neighborhood. Everything's starting to flower. The bees are busy. It's relatively cool today, but it's been warm. Last week we had its temperature up at 18, 19 degrees. And it looks like it's going to get back there over the course of the next couple of days. It's about 13 degrees today, so a little bit cool, and we had a little bit of rain during this weekend. But so let's close this one up, and then the last thing we're going to want to do is just check the bottom board and give that a bit of a cleaning. There we go. Okay. Let me pull out the bottom board, and it's very comparable to the one that we saw on the other hive. So you can see very clearly the frames, the active frames that are directly above. In the center, you see a lot of the yellow brownish areas where the brood is, and then the whitish color, which is corresponding more to the new comb development, which is white in color. So this we're going to with that, we're done.